What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and what a beautiful day we've had, trading right down into this gap that I drew our attention to in yesterday's video. If you haven't watched that yet, definitely go check it out, and you'll see how price pretty much just delivered straight to the downside. We didn't quite close how I was expecting, in terms of I was expecting more of a consolidated Tuesday, but it does look like Wednesday is going to offer us that potential consolidation. And moving into tomorrow, I do want to see if we can fill this fair value gap, which we've pretty much already done. And then I'd like to think that price can just stay, within the range of it. As in, I don't really expect us to continue any lower at this point, especially with the high impact news that we have moving into the Thursday. So with that all taken into account, another thing I want to draw our attention to is this order block. So this last down close candle right here is the order block for this large move up to the upside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw our attention to the 50% level of that, which is right here. And this is going to be the very lowest I want to see price trade this week for me to expect a Thursday reversal. So let me say that again. This midpoint of this order block on the daily is the very lowest I'm going to allow price to trade this week for me to remain for me to expect a Thursday reversal. And that's because this is what we call mean threshold, which is the midpoint of an order block. And as far as I'm concerned, this should be respected this should be respected if we are to trade out of the order block. If we're not, then price will disrespect this level. But other than that, I expect price to respect this, and then we can use that to key off. Now, bear in mind, there is no high impact news tomorrow on Wednesday. However, on Thursday there is, and I'd like to think it can use that sentiment to potentially drive price back up and back into this week's range so far. So I'm definitely going to keep our eye on this level right here. Again, if you want to get that level on your charts, definitely just come to this order block and draw out the midpoint. And then let's drop down to the 4 hour and take a better look at price, and you'll see how we've just been traded on lower. So very simple delivery. Again, price is really falling very weakly. We're not exactly respecting that weekly bullish order block open, but what will be interesting, let's see the midpoint of that wick. So this weekly bullish order block I did draw our attention to yesterday, and you can see the midpoint of that whole order block also lines up with our daily. So that's, again, layered PD arrays, and when we see layered PD arrays, that is a good sign. Especially another thing to take note of, is this between this close and this open, that is a gap because there's only upside delivery there. So the fact that we have the gap here on the weekly technically, and also obviously on the daily, again, we're seeing layered PD arrays, so we expect this to get filled. So moving into Wednesday, what am I expecting? Well, let's drop down to the 1 hour, and you'll see our price has been delivering. And this is the midnight opening price right here. The fact that we're still below it and we're moving into Wednesday and potentially Thursday, I want to see us trade back above that by Thursday into Friday is basically what I'm looking for. And that can only happen so long as we respect the 50% level of this, because so long as we're above the 50% level of that order block, price is permitted to still remain bullish on that level of time frame. If it drops below that, then that's basically going against the rules, so to speak, of the algorithm which ICT preaches about, and therefore it shouldn't really, it's hard to explain, but my point is I'm looking for this to get respected. Any lower than that, I'll be a little bit suspicious, and at that point, I'd then expect us to be running for these lows right here. So I will mark out these lows in case price does want to go down there. Again, I'd be very concerned if it did, to be honest, as in, don't get me wrong, it can do it, and I'm not saying price can't go there, but I'd be concerned if it did. But nonetheless, right now I'm looking to see, can we respect this level, and if so, then we may be able to get in on a potential Wednesday reversal, which is pretty classic for price, and then we'd have a purge and revert model, which I'll talk more on in tomorrow's video. So nonetheless, let's drop down to the 15-minute. Again, beautiful delivery to the downside, and now you can see we're just consolidating around this fair value gap. So what I'm looking for this fair value gap to do, or what I'm looking for price to do around it, is I want to see it trade in and out of it. So I just want to see, I'd like to think that price can trade through it a few times, because we want to see this imbalance get filled, as in we want to see delivery on the downside and upside, and the more it does that, the more secure it is in terms of delivery, if that makes sense. So I'll talk more on this in tomorrow's video, but generally speaking, I'm moving into Wednesday. I'm looking to see how do we treat this level. If we're respecting it, then there'll be a potential for a Wednesday reversal, which may be quite messy, because like I said, the fact that we didn't get that consolidation, which I wanted to see on the Tuesday, we may get that on the Wednesday, lining us up in time for Thursday, where we have high impact news. Oh, we do have FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Let's get that drawn out on our charts. Completely forgot about that. What's interesting about FOMC minutes is that it starts later on in the day, and you'll find that price will start running right into the PMs. So that's going to be interesting, and we might find that price only trades into this level at that time. And if we know that, then we'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's going to help drive, that's going to help drive sentiment into dollar to help it move. So yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting day tomorrow. Personally, I don't think tomorrow's going to be much of a trading day, especially after Monday and Tuesday delivered like this. I'd wait for Wednesday to trade and then use Thursday and Friday. That's what I'm going to be doing anyhow, especially with FOMC minutes. I don't generally like to trade these days, but nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see where price is at once we get to this point. But don't be surprised, like I said, if we do see a lot of back and forth price action around this gap. So let's now head on to GBP USD, and you'll see that we've run out some very significant highs right here. So we've grabbed what buy stops have now been grabbed above these highs. We ran right above our 50% level, which is completely fine. Let's go to the weekly really quickly, see what we can find. Not really much. But I like the fact that we've taken out these highs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get actually, I'm not going to get rid of that. Let's mark out this buy side liquidity pool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grey it out because we've grabbed those stops above there now. Then let's go to the daily. And the fact that we've grabbed stops, again, when price goes through a significant price level, and this is a significant price level, we expect it to do something like this. And I've drawn this example out a million times. If you've been watching my videos, you know about it. But when price goes into a significant price level, we expect it to go into it like this before a reversal. So the fact that we traded into it once already, it wouldn't surprise me if we ran that Tuesday high one more time before any kind of potential reversal. I'm not saying this is the top, guys. I want to make that so clear. I'm not saying it's the top because we remain bullish until proven otherwise. We haven't been proven otherwise. But my point is, if this is the top, then we should expect that Tuesday to get ran one more time. So we need to be careful of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw attention to it by putting buy side liquidity above there like so. So let's get rid of these for now. And then let's drop down to the 4 hour. Again, this got tagged beautifully. We're now above that 50% level. And what you'll find is how price acts. Look at how watch how price treats this consequent encroachment level. You'll see it find support until we trade through it aggressively on the opposite side. But we'll talk more on that later in the week. But generally speaking, moving into Wednesday, I do want to see us run that high one more time. What was this? This is a fair value gap. You can see we're above that. Now this is acting as you see how price is sitting above this? It's because it's acting as support. So this is a bullish fair value gap for now. As soon as price drops back below that, it should act as an inversion fair value gap. But again, we'll think about that later on. Nonetheless, I'm looking for this Tuesday to get ran, moving to the new day. I don't need this rejection block level anymore. I don't need this weekly rejection block level. I'm going to keep this fair value gap on because I want to show you how price treats it as we move into the rest of the week. Let's drop to the 15-minute. You can see we're kind of consolidating. This was interesting how we wicked up above that high, but again, they're not done up. I'm convinced they're not done up there. They're not just going to wick it up like that. I don't think it'll be that simple for price to just make a high like that. Don't get me wrong, it'd be nice if it did make a Tuesday high and we just traded on lower from now on, but I can imagine how many stops are going to be residing up there, so it'll be interesting to see how price treats that. And then finally, we can look at euro, and then make sure you stick to the end, guys, because I am going to be looking at some divergence at this point. Let's go. Let me get rid of all these from earlier. And we'll start on the daily. And you'll see how price has reached nicely into the rejection block level above the 50% level, which I wanted to see get respected. So now I'd like to see if this high can get ran. Similar to what we saw on pound, and you'll see that there's a fair value gap over here to trade into on the daily as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw continued strength on euro and price did manage to reach into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this now. And now we have the buy side liquidity up here and this fair value gap on the daily to fill. I'm going to get rid of this rejection block level, get rid of this weekly, and then moving into tomorrow, I want to see can we reach up into that. In line with dollar, of course, dropping down into the level which I've got my eyes very much set on. But I can imagine it's going to be quite a fickle day tomorrow. So here's the 4 hour. You can see prices reaching, but this daily fair value gap is where I'm looking. More specifically, the 50% level. If we respect that 50% level, that's going to add confluence to our expectation of a potential Thursday reversal, but we'll talk more on that later in the week. Let's drop down to the 1 hour real quick. Can we see anything? Price just ran. Not really much anything too exciting, but like I said, I'm expecting continued upwards price action. So now what I want to draw out show us is, let's look at something. So if I add pound to this chart, and I add the dollar to this chart, and we look at the same lows. So this is where divergence occurs. So if dollar fails to take out this low, you'll see that pound's already taken out the same high here, but like you see our pound's showing a lot of strength, and then you'll see that euro's about to take out that high. If dollar fails to take out this low moving into the rest of the week and we do get a reversal, that's going to hint to us that we can expect a bigger reversal on the pairs. I will talk more on this later in the week, but my point is, it's times like this where we do look at divergence, because as far as if dollar's the one that's not making low lows, but pounds making higher highs, euros making higher highs, then eventually what's going to happen is euro and pound are going to snap into place and pull back to catch up with dollar, assuming it does reverse, if that makes sense. So dollar's going to be the one that's going to be winking at us, saying, listen, I don't want to go lower, I want to reverse right now. Dollar will refuse to take out stops below here. It will refuse to grab the liquidity, whereas pound will grab its stops, which it already clearly is, and then so will euro. So it'll be very interesting to see how price does continue to act this week. So that's just something to take into account. Again, Wednesday, the fact we didn't get a consolidation on Tuesday, I would expect one tomorrow. But it'll be very interesting. But like I said, with FOMC minutes, it's just, I know that they can be quite ugly days in general. So that's going to be everything, guys. Hope you found this insightful. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, blah, blah, blah. Thank you to all the new subscribers, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.